A small repurposed garden tractor can be a very useful tool around any homestead.
Indeed.
I'm working on mine right now, replacing the main drive belt. This is B.R.U.T.U.S. Late 90s, early 2000s model Craftsman GT, 24 horsepower Kohler. Hydrostatic transmission. Darn thing pulls like a team of mules. It's got a little problem right now though. The drive belt snapped on us last week and the new one came yesterday, so I'm going to go ahead and slap it on real quick and give you a little introduction to the sucker. Coolest thing about the way mine's set up is, since it's got a winch mounted on the back of it, it's its own jack when you got to take the rear tires off. Got it.
And he makes fun of me for struggling. Ladies and gentlemen, he just took a minute and a half to open that with a wrench.
Oh, shut up.
And he yells at me for struggling. Okay. Don't worry, Dad.
Awkwardly hammers.
Don't worry, Dad. I'm getting this on video.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, that's not going to work, Brad. Yeah. Rip the wires right off.
By the way,
oh, that's fine.
There's going to be a few bleep buttons, but it's okay.
I'm having a senior moment. Okay, that way.
You're struggling? Okay, I actually have this at such a good angle.
Alright. What, you can actually see what I'm doing?
Yeah. There we go. Now I can see better.
Now for the fun part.
Oh, shooting my duty.
Okay.
Is this fun?
I don't want you yet. There, we can put the belt on.
So then, since it snapped the clutch, how are we supposed to use the clutch?
It didn't snap the clutch, it snapped the belt.
But like, didn't it also snap the wires?
Oh, that's the PTO clutch.
Is that the clutch that we push in?
No. That's the one that the big knob on the dash turns on.
The red button?
Yes.
I've never used that one.
Well, it's because this thing doesn't have a mower jack.
Then not having it is a problem. Why?
Well, because eventually, whew,
This looks tiring.
uncomfortable.
More uncomfortable than anything.
Okay, I'm about to hand you a nut.
I don't want your nuts.
Oh, wait. Maybe I don't have to. Yes, I do. Okay. Don't lose this.
Oh, I didn't want your nuts, but okay. I have your nuts. Yeah, Dad. Put your fingers in it.
Crap.
What'd you do?
There. Clutch down.
Oh, I gotta see if I can get to it.
Alright, we're down. Oh, come on.
Do y'all like my shoes? My Converse?
Okay, take that off. There, okay, now. Put the fucking thing back on. That sucked.
What?
Oh, that was way harder to put on than the last one.
Well, I know. Like, did you forget to... Did you
No.
forget how to or something?
No, I think it's just variance in the manufacturing. I just hope it lasts, because it doesn't feel like we have very much clutch.
It didn't come up a lot either.
That's what I'm talking about. I gave you all of them. Get out from under that sucker before you set it down.
I'm not under it.
Here's the cool part of having the winch. Keep going. Put it down all the way down on the ground. There you go. Now tighten them up. So, lessons were learned yesterday afternoon. Don't work on your equipment when you've been battling heat stroke all day, you're tired, and your shoulder's acting up. I actually wound up accidentally putting the belt on backwards. You, the way the drive mechanism works, the engine pulley sits like this, the transmission pulley sits like this, and you've got to twist your belt a certain way as you're going from one to the other. Yeah, I twisted it 90 degrees the wrong direction, so as soon as I fired the tractor up and put it in gear, it immediately kicked the belt off. Nothing was damaged though. I got it put back together and working right now. So now I'm just over here kind of cleaning up my wiring a little bit, doing some zip ties, trying to figure out how I want to run the main power cables for the winch. And so getting back to what I was talking about yesterday afternoon, okay, this thing's a tank. It does 90% of the dragging stuff around work around here. And ever since I put that winch on there, it handles quite a bit of the lifting too, thanks to a couple of these nifty little snatch blocks from Harbor Freight. One thing I have done that's pretty stout and, according to some people, strange modification. I took all the original battery tray mounts out so that I could put a big old Marine starting battery in this thing. One thing I'm lucky about is the charging system on this engine still works freaking beautifully. However, since I do use this thing year round, I was kind of running into some problems getting it started in the wintertime just from the small garden tractor battery being a little weak from sitting out in the cold. But nah, she just works. It's a workhorse for me. It really is. Like I said, since I added the winch, it's gotten even better because that gave me the ability to lift things. Unlike a big tractor, there's no hydraulics on these, so anything you want to drive, you've either got to get really creative or try to find something electric. Now, I'm not sure if it made its way into the final cut, but one thing I did discover yesterday afternoon is I no longer have a working PTO clutch. That's this knob right here. on these models, the clutch that would engage and disengage your mower deck if you had one on, I took it off of this machine just so that it's not hanging down there getting snagged on stuff. But there's two wires that dangle down, definitely in harm's way if you snap a belt. Wonderful freaking design feature. And last week when that belt snapped, they got took out. It's not a big deal. There's enough wire left that I can solder in some new stuff to fix the connection if I decide to later. Or I can also still order that electric PTO clutch for this thing. It's not terribly expensive, but not a real huge priority right now. Yeah, in the future I'm planning on making some more attachments for it. I'd really like to have a brush blade on the front for getting out in that mess, and a few other things once I get the PTO fixed. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. In keeping with the theme of the last couple of weeks, that thing, other than a few parts here and there and the winch, it didn't cost anything. It just showed up here dead, not running, 4 flat tires, tank full of bad gas. And I was told if I could fix it, it was mine. Well, it wasn't really that difficult to fix in the first place, and that was, hell, 3 or 4 years ago. Since then, the only money I've put into it as far as keeping it running was probably 50 cents worth of wiring fittings, converting the battery over, and I had to throw a $100 starter on it this spring. No biggie. The winch, I'm really pleased with. I got that at Harbor Freight. It's the Badlands 2,000 pound ATV winch. I originally bought it for dragging logs out of the brush in spots where I couldn't get good enough traction with the tractor to just pull them out. And oh god, since then, let's see, I've used it to pull a couple of stumps from dead dwarf fruit trees. It did, well, at one point, after I got that chainsaw with my bum shoulder, my back started to bug me from trying to cut all the firewood on the ground. So all that winch lifted them logs up onto my little makeshift cutting table. And the wood chipper in last week's video, when I pulled it out of the corner that it was sitting in the barn, it was buried behind a bunch of other crap, and I considered moving the crap out of the way, but with my arm being the way it is and not really liking to enslave my teenage daughter any more than I absolutely have to, I figured it was way quicker to just throw a block on the rafter and crane it out with the winch, and that's what I did, and it worked great. Nobody got hurt, nothing got broke. Everything went pretty much how I wanted it to. So, yeah. Down the road, if enough of you are interested, I can pop the winch off and show you all how I bolted it on there. I only had to drill 2 holes in that rear plate on the tractor frame. And I'm going to go finish cleaning up the wiring. Y'all have a good one. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Next week we're making some pickled beets.